In the bustling city of Abuja, there lived a charming couple, James and Esther. James was a man of integrity, known for his warm laughter and compassionate heart. His flourishing business and beautiful wife painted the perfect picture of success. To their neighbors, James and Esther were the embodiment of love and happiness. But, as the saying goes, not all that glitters is gold. One sunny morning, as James prepared to leave for work, Esther approached him with a serious expression. "James," she said softly, "there's something I need to tell you." Concerned, James turned to her, his face filled with warmth. "What is it, my love? Why do you look so serious?" Esther hesitated, her hands trembling slightly. "I went to see the doctor yesterday, and I'm pregnant." James's eyes widened with joy. "What?" he exclaimed, his voice ringing with excitement. "Are you serious?" "This is wonderful news." He swept her into a warm embrace, his heart bursting with happiness. But as James celebrated, he noticed the sadness in Esther's eyes. "Why do you look unhappy? What's wrong, Esther?" She sighed deeply, her gaze dropping to the floor. "James, it's the supermarket you promised to set up for me. You've been so busy, and nothing has been done about it. I just feel like I don't matter." James smiled reassuringly, taking her hands in his. "Esther, is that what's troubling you? Don't worry, I'll handle it." He reached into his briefcase, pulled out his checkbook, and wrote her a check for 5 million naira. "Here," he said, placing the check in her hands. "This should cover everything you need to start your business." A smile spread across Esther's face as she accepted the check. "Thank you, my love," she said, her voice dripping with sweetness. James kissed her goodbye and left for work, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing behind his back. As soon as James was out of sight, Esther withdrew the money and handed it over to Philip, her secret lover. Philip, a younger man with a sharp wit and a charming smile, had been part of Esther's life for years. Together, they concocted a plan to escape to America and start anew. "With this money, we can finally leave this place," Philip said, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Esther nodded, her heart racing. "I'll leave James a letter. By the time he reads it, we'll be on our way." Before leaving, Esther scribbled a letter for James, placing it on the dining table. When James returned home that evening, he called out, "Esther, I'm back." Silence greeted him. Confused, he searched the house but found no sign of his wife. Finally, his eyes landed on the letter. With a growing sense of dread, he unfolded it and began to read. "Dear James, by the time you read this, I will be on my way to America with Philip. I'm sorry to tell you this, but I have never loved you. The baby I'm carrying isn't yours. It's his. I know this will hurt you, but I can't continue living a lie. Goodbye, Esther." James stared at the letter in disbelief, his hands trembling. He rushed to the wardrobe, only to find it empty. Panic set in as he dialed her number, but it was unreachable. In that moment, James's world crumbled. Months passed, and James struggled to rebuild his life. His business suffered immensely, and soon, he was drowning in debt. The bank repossessed his house, and his boss demanded his resignation when rumors of his financial troubles spread. Homeless and jobless, James wandered the streets, a shadow of the man he once was. At first, he tried reaching out to friends for help, but many avoided him. Some sympathized but didn't offer support, while others simply turned their backs. The once confident and cheerful James was reduced to begging for food and sleeping on benches in parks. Each passing day felt like a lifetime as he wrestled with his despair. James often spent his evenings by the riverbank, reflecting on his shattered life. Memories of happier days haunted him, making the pain of his current reality even more unbearable. He thought about how much he had given to Esther, how deeply he had loved her, and how mercilessly she had betrayed him. One day, while scavenging for food in a market area, James overheard two vendors discussing an abandoned building where homeless people could sleep. Desperate for shelter, he made his way there. The building was in ruins, with broken windows and graffiti-covered walls, but it offered a roof over his head. He shared the space with others who had also hit rock bottom. Among them was an older man named Baba Tunde, who became a source of wisdom and encouragement for James. "Life can be cruel," Baba Tunde said one night as they sat around a small fire. "But it's not about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you rise again." Baba Tunde's words struck a chord with James. Slowly, he began to see a glimmer of hope. He decided that he wouldn't let his circumstances define him. With Baba Tunde's guidance, he started looking for odd jobs, determined. Meanwhile, Esther's new life with Philip unraveled. One day, she returned home to find Philip gone, leaving behind a cold note. "Dear Esther, you are nothing more than a stepping stone. I've taken the money and left with my true love, Grace. Thanks for everything. Goodbye, Philip." Esther's world shattered. She rushed to the airport, desperate to stop Philip, but it was too late. Alone and penniless, she returned to the empty house they once shared, consumed by regret. The weight of betrayal crushed her spirit. She had chosen greed over loyalty and was now paying the ultimate price. She thought of James and the life they could have had, but she knew it was too late to turn back time. James, despite his hardships, found solace in the kindness of strangers. A local pastor took him in, offering him a place to stay and a chance to rebuild his life. Through the church, James discovered a new purpose, helping others who had fallen on hard times. He started small, volunteering at the church's soup kitchen and offering business advice to struggling entrepreneurs. Slowly but surely, James regained his confidence and began to rebuild his life. With time, he set up a small consultancy for small-scale businesses, using his past experiences to guide others. His new work brought him fulfillment, and he began to see light at the end of the tunnel. One of the church's initiatives involved organizing workshops for unemployed youth. James took charge of these sessions, sharing his story and teaching practical skills. His humility and resilience inspired many, and soon, he became a mentor to countless young people. His efforts didn't go unnoticed. Local newspapers featured his story, and donations poured in to support his work. One day, James was invited to speak at a community event organized by the church. He shared his story of loss, betrayal, and redemption, inspiring many in attendance. His words resonated deeply, especially with young entrepreneurs struggling to find their footing. That day, James realized the power of his testimony and decided to dedicate himself to motivational speaking. As James's life flourished, Esther's continued to spiral downward. Consumed by guilt, she reached out to James, hoping for forgiveness, but he refused to see her. "I've moved on, Esther," he said through the pastor. "I wish you well, but there's nothing left for us." Though devastated, Esther finally understood the depth of her mistakes. She resolved to change her ways and began volunteering at a local women's shelter, hoping to atone for her past actions. The work gave her a sense of purpose, but the void left by her decisions remained. Years later, James had become a successful motivational speaker, sharing his story of resilience and redemption. At one of his events, he met a woman named Amara, a single mother who had also overcome great adversity. Their shared experiences drew them together, and they soon fell in love. Amara was everything James had ever wanted in a partner: kind, supportive, and genuine. Together, they built a life filled with love and mutual respect. James often marveled at how far he had come, grateful for the second chance life had given him. Amara's son, Daniel, brought a new sense of joy to James's life. The boys' laughter filled their home, and James found himself playing the role of a father figure with ease. For the first time in years, James felt whole. He often reflected on his journey, grateful for the trials that had shaped him into the man he had become. Esther, still grappling with her mistakes, watched from afar as James built a new life. She realized too late that true love isn't about money or appearances, it's about loyalty, trust, and mutual respect. Though she had found solace in her volunteer work, the regret of losing James haunted her. As the rain poured outside one evening, James and Amara sat by the fireplace, their laughter filling the room. For James, love had come knocking again, not on a rainy day, but on a day filled with hope and new beginnings. Amara's presence reminded him that even after the darkest storms, the sun always rises. Esther, sitting alone in her small apartment, listened to the same rain. She whispered to herself, "If only I had known." But the damage was done, and she could only hope to make better choices in the future. Life had moved on, and so had James, leaving her with the lessons of a love lost to greed and betrayal.